I'm sitting here with two ladies from Brazil, and we have a translator, and we're sitting here with Mr. Joe Beasley's home.
Estou aqui com duas mulheres brasileiras que têm tradutor na casa de seu Joe Beasley.
And what I want to do is to tell me the purpose of your trip and how can we help.
Eu queria que vocês me dissessem o propósito da sua viagem e como é que a gente pode lhes ajudar.
Damn, y'all fine.
Ah, meu Deus do céu, que mulheres finas.
All right.
O motivo da nossa viagem é que a gente ganhou um intercâmbio de jovens comunicadores, no qual esse intercâmbio ele é dividido em duas partes e aconteceu entre Salvador e Atlanta. Em outubro, 2 jornalistas daqui de Atlanta conheceram Salvador e suas iniciativas e agora estamos aqui em Atlanta para fazer o mesmo, conhecer como que esse jornalismo comunitário acontece, as iniciativas, as lutas do povo negro e tudo mais que for surgindo pelo caminho.
We two journalists, we earned this foreign exchange study back in October. It was an exchange study between Atlanta and Brazil. And so they had 2 journalists that came from Atlanta to study in Brazil, and we're here doing the interface study. So basically, our purpose of coming here is to learn more about the culture here and how it permeates back in Brazil, and that's about it.
How are we going to continue this dialogue with Brazil once you go back home?
Como é que a gente pode continuar esse diálogo sobre o Brasil depois que vocês voltarem para lá?
Nós somos comunicadoras, jornalistas, trabalhamos e possuímos veículos de comunicação que são voltados para a comunidade, em especial para a comunidade negra. E aqui Atlanta é um lugar muito rico nisso. Salvador, o Brasil, ele está começando a dar esse espaço de pensar veículos de comunicação para tratar da diversidade cultural negra especialmente. E vocês podem nos ajudar especialmente com a exposição da experiência de vocês para nós, o fato de nós visualizarmos os trabalhos de vocês já nos ajuda muito, mas existem outras formas com certeza de ajuda e que esse diálogo continue.
I'm a journalist and I do work, community-based work, mainly for the black community. So what I would like for you all to do in Atlanta is to help us to become more visible, to use this space to even publish some of our work and just be visible in our lives in a way of just to help us to better the black community in Brazil through your participation and funding.
Let me go back. I guess early part of last year, there was a video. They were saying that you didn't have black folks working in Coca-Cola. You had the World Cup coming to Brazil.
Right.
And I put together the video, and they turned around and put it in Portuguese. And from that time, Coke ended up giving Brazil the institution. You only have one black major university in Brazil. I think they ended up giving them like $1 million or something. I might be a little incorrect in terms of how much and all, but that was it.
Okay.
All right. In terms of Brazilian life, in terms of, let me see, isn't there something going on with the president?
Tem uma coisa acontecendo com a presidenta.
They trying to impeach her or something?
O povo está querendo tirar ela da sua posição como presidenta.
Yes, ele explicou o que a relação da Coca-Cola.
Oh, so she was waiting on. I was going to interpret for her what you said about Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Ok, ele disse que a ver com Coca-Cola que tinha quando a Copa veio pro Brasil, só tinha um empregado negro. Aí, não sei se tivesse uma universidade negra, uma coisa dessa. Depois, de propósito, ele fez um vídeo, depois foi interpretado para português. E aí deram gerou um movimento lá a partir daí.
Conheço.
Yeah, I know about that story, the Coca-Cola story.
Foi ele que produziu o vídeo.
So is it, oh, so you the one that produced the video?
Yeah.
Isso.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is the language we speaking in?
Huh?
What is the language?
Portuguese.
Okay. Okay.
A pergunta é sobre Dilma, assim, tem um grupo de pessoas no Brasil que estão tentando derrubar a presidente porque é o primeiro mandato de esquerda no Brasil, o primeiro mandato não, é o primeiro governo, na verdade o terceiro governo que está com o Partido dos Trabalhadores, o PT, que começou com o presidente Lula. E o movimento social negro tem muitas críticas a esse governo, mas foi a primeira vez que um governo pensou em políticas para os mais pobres, para os negros, para as diversidades. Pela primeira vez isso no Brasil aconteceu. E aí existe uma reação muito forte dos brancos, da classe média hoje, nesse momento, que é para tentar derrubar a presidente por causa das políticas que ela criou.
So what happened was this is the first time in Brazil that the left like someone from the leftist group is in power. And
Leftist meaning?
Meaning more for the community.
Okay.
So this is this is the third union of someone that's the group of people that implement policies, the government that's in power, that is trying to do work for the black community, for the poor.
Okay.
And so a lot of the whites and the middle class don't like that. There's a group of people trying to take her down because of that.
What can we do to help?
O que é que a gente pode fazer para ajudar vocês nesse sentido?
Vocês em que sentido?
Like you mean like us in what sense of
In
help?
terms of us here in the United States, what are some of the things that we like to accomplish in terms of being able to work together?
Em termos de nós aqui dos Estados Unidos, quais são algumas coisas que a gente poderia fazer a respeito de ajudar vocês de cá para lá?
Eu acho que a primeira coisa é isso, é compartilhando conosco as suas ações, mostrando, vocês desenvolvem ações de organização da comunidade há mais tempo que nós.
So to have more action, because you all as African Americans in the United States have had more time and more time and space to dedicate more community action, and we would like to see more community action. Você está falando em questão da gente daqui mostrando para vocês o ato os atos de ter como assim ação comunitária.
Exatamente.
Okay.
Também.
Yeah. So just us sharing information, the African Americans from here sharing information with us on how to do community development, because you all here have had many years of work geared toward that.
Okay.
E a partir do momento que a gente visualiza a forma como vocês se organizam, isso nos dá inspiração para nos organizar também. Em relação à comunicação voltada para a comunidade negra, vocês também já desenvolvem isso há bastante tempo. E pensar e quando a gente visualiza as formas que vocês trabalham, nos ajuda muito, mas hoje a nossa principal dificuldade no Brasil existem iniciativas de comunicação negra seculares desde o tempo da abolição da escravatura. Só que a nossa principal dificuldade é a sustentabilidade e a manutenção dessas iniciativas. E pensar formas, vocês podem nos inspirar em como manter como pagar por essas coisas, como pagar pela manutenção disso, porque fazer comunicação é caro e nós não temos custos, nós não temos recursos.
Okay. So basically, is you as the African American community here could give us inspiration and examples of how to have community action and community input, because you have many different years of that. Not that we've never had it, because we've had it since, for many centuries since the abolition of slavery. But what happens is that it's difficult for us to financially maintain and sustain it. So like if you all come and you give examples on how to have the visibility of you all as African Americans in our community, giving us ideas of how we can become more dependent, to be able to visualize that would help a lot.
More online of activists?
Mais em termos de ativistas ou ativismo na comunidade afro-brasileira. Quer dizer, nós daqui ensinamos a vocês participação ou ativismo em termos de envolvimento comunitário, assim.
É aquilo que a gente já falou antes, que é a questão da forma de organização.
Um pouquinho, a voz mais alta.
É o que a gente já vem falando há algum tempo, que é a questão da forma com que vocês se organizaram, que se obteve um maior sucesso nessa forma de organização. O Brasil, os jovens negros, a população negra no Brasil precisa de um modelo. Vocês já são modelos de inspiração para essa organização, mas talvez ser algo mais concreto, algo mais direto, talvez um ensino mesmo do passo a passo de como se organizar, porque é necessário que a população entenda como isso funciona. Seria isso?
So as African Americans, if you all can give us like concrete examples and be visible and show us how to construct and how to become independent in our own movement, because we look to you all for inspiration for that, because you all have had that for many years. So we just need examples direct examples on how to do that, how to become independent and maintain our own structure outside of that, is you being the president, because you all have many years of experience with that.
Okay.
Entenda, não é ensinar pra gente como se organizar no sentido de fazer política. Isso a gente já faz desde que saímos da África e fomos levados para o Brasil.
So not in the sense of trying to show us how to put together policies and things like that. We've been doing that since we were colonized from Africa and Brazil.
É como as experiências que já criamos e sempre criaremos, como fazer dessas experiências exitosas e que essas experiências não morram com o tempo.
So how do we create experiences? How do we learn from experiences so that the experiences that we have, we can turn those experiences into the bad experiences, we can turn them into victory. So we need help on how to turn the failures into victory, so that all of our input doesn't die with the passage of time.
Por exemplo, o jornal negro mais velho daqui que a gente conheceu tem mais de 100 anos. E isso é uma vitória muito grande, isso é uma iniciativa muito grande. No Brasil, a mídia negra foi uma das principais forças que incentivaram a abolição da escravatura. Tem jornais lá da imprensa negra do início do século XIX. E desde então a gente sempre produziu mídia negra. Só que nossas mídias, elas morrem, porque a gente não consegue manter.
So what it is that you all here, you all have your first black newspaper that's been in circulation for over 100 years, and and since the beginning of the 19th century, we've also had our own media that has been in circulation, because with our media being in circulation, that helped with the abolition of slavery. Just what happens is that over the passage of time, we don't have any funding, and through us not having a financial backing, that's how that dies out over a period of time.
What are they doing in terms of where are the black businesses there? They are not supporting, or they don't understand?
Onde estão os empresários negros do Brasil, os negociantes negros do Brasil? Não existem.
Empresários negros de grande porte não existem no Brasil. Existem pessoas que trabalham com comércio e com empreendimentos, mas não existe um empresariado negro no Brasil. Realmente não existe um empresário negro no Brasil que possa pagar pela manutenção tanto da mídia negra quanto dos trabalhos sociais dentro das comunidades negras.
So there are people there are blacks that participate in the commercial aspect, but there's no big black empire of black businesses that can financially back participation and exposure in the black community over there.
All right, where are the black folks spending their money?
Onde os negros gastam o seu dinheiro?
Os negros gastam seu dinheiro em empresas brancas.
And white businesses.
Okay, so have you asked any of the white business for funding?
Vocês já pediram fundação dos empresários brancos?
Não, eu ainda não pedi, mas as coisas que eu escrevo na minha revista normalmente vão de encontro aos interesses dos empresários brancos. Eu não sei se eles se interessariam em
So,
bancar.
no, I haven't asked them, because the things that I write in my magazine, I don't think that they would be interested in.
That's beside the point. You are spending money. You are spending money at these companies. Black folks are spending money in those companies. You can always have a disclaimer saying these views are your views and not necessarily views of your advertisers. But you're spending money from them. So what are they giving back to the community?
E ele diz que isso é além do ponto, porque vocês estão gastando dinheiro na comunidade deles, e dá para vocês pedirem uma ajuda, porque você pode ter um texto que diz que esses pontos de vista são os meus e não das pessoas que estão imprimindo o negócio.
Desculpa, eu não estou entendendo.
Não, ele diz que, por exemplo, você nunca pediu, mas vai pedir a ajuda dele, porque é você que está mantendo aberto o negócio dele. Entendeu? Que você pode pedir que eles imprimam o conteúdo, mas o conteúdo é seu e do seu ponto de vista, não deles. E tem que colocar isso na barra, dizendo que o meu ponto de vista é a parte do povo coletivo, sim, que os fundadores que estão prestando dinheiro.
Mas talvez ele esteja pensando nisso dentro da lógica social da sociedade americana, dos Estados Unidos. No Brasil, a lógica social é um pouco diferente.
So maybe you're thinking about this from the social logic, the American social logic, because our Brazilian social logic is much different than here in America.
If I spend my money in your store and I ask you to contribute to what we are having, and they say no, why not protest?
Ele diz que se eu gastar o meu dinheiro no seu negócio, no negócio deles, eu peço uma contribuição deles, e eles não estão a favor, então começa o protesto.
Pois é, a mobilização comunitária não é uma coisa tão simples, muito porque dentro das comunidades negras existe muito grande uma falta de estímulo, as pessoas têm dificuldade até de se identificarem enquanto negras, assumirem isso.
So what it is is hard to really immobilize a business like that because so many blacks have self-esteem issues in terms of self-identification and what it is to be black.
Os fatos que mais mobilizam a comunidade no Brasil têm relação muito mais com necessidades mais emergenciais, como a vida. A morte dos jovens negros tem sido algo que mobiliza as pessoas, porque é uma pauta de grande emergência, mas a falta de representatividade na mídia não mobiliza tanto assim para que as pessoas se revoltem a ponto de boicotar grandes empresas porque não representam eles na mídia.
So the killings of these kids and the 5 kids that were killed ultimately recently, this is always like a emergency case when the blacks come together, but it's just as far as like trying to immobilize a community because they don't support us. That's really not an issue that's really thought out of it being important. More of the actual ones like the murders and stuff like that.
Tell me about the murders that's going on there.
Vocês podem me contar um pouquinho sobre as mortes dos jovens que estão acontecendo agora?
Sim. Essa semana no nordeste de Amaralina, que é um bairro em Salvador, que é o bairro que eu moro, um policial invadiu uma casa que tinham 3 crianças e uma mulher. Isso foi na terça-feira, dia 1º, e as 3 crianças sobreviveram, mas a mulher morreu.
So in Bahia, Nova Amaralina, which is my neighborhood where I'm from in Bahia, on November 1st, some policemen, they kicked in the door and they shot a woman with 3 kids. The kids had survived.
Drug related?
É relacionado a drogas.
Normalmente o discurso que os policiais imprimem e que a mídia imprime é que tem relação com drogas, mas às vezes pode ter e às vezes pode não ter, mas é uma prática a abordagem violenta da polícia.
So you know it could have been, it couldn't have been, because a lot of times the media implies it, or at the same time it could have just been an aggressive act by the policeman.
How are you getting people registered to vote?
Como é que vocês conseguem as pessoas registrarem para votar? Vocês estão fazendo alguma campanha a respeito das pessoas se registrarem para poderem votar?
Voltar?
Sim, nas eleições.
Votar, sim. No Rio de Janeiro, que eu quero terminar uma ideia que eu comecei a falar, que eu tô falando aos poucos, senão você não consegue mandar tudo. Aí eu vou terminar o que eu tava falando que eu não tinha terminado.
Okay, so I'm gonna go finish adding to what I was saying earlier. Before I answer that question, I want to add a little bit more to what I was just saying before.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
No Rio de Janeiro, no sábado, dia 28, 5 jovens voltavam de uma balada, de uma festa, jovens entre 16 e 24 anos, e o carro que eles estavam foi abordado por 4 policiais e que deram 111 tiros e todos morreram.
So on last Saturday, November 28th, 5 youth between the ages of 16 and 24 were approached by 4 policemen that killed them, and between the 5 of them, they were shot 111 times.
Em Salvador, também na semana passada, um policial foi prender um rapaz que era suspeito de tráfico de drogas. Ele prendeu esse rapaz, depois voltou à casa dele e estuprou a esposa dele. E o que eu quero dizer é, a mídia aborda todos esses casos e é isso que os governantes colocam como casos de policiais que não são bons, de oficiais que não são bons, mas não é o caso de um policial, é uma política de segurança pública que atua dessa forma em todo o país.
So, and another thing that happened in Bahia last week, it was a guy who was accused of drug trafficking, and he was brought to jail by the police. The same policeman went and raped his wife. So, sometimes the points of view of these things that are released in the media is pretty much implemented by the collective public policy, because the media has a lot to do with the point of view of these type of things that are shown in the media.
What are you doing to bring the community together or to talk about the issues? Are you working within the churches or the schools?
O que vocês estão fazendo a respeito de juntarem as comunidades? Vocês estão trabalhando com algumas igrejas ou umas escolas?
Existe, mas ao mesmo tempo que as pessoas estão extremamente revoltadas com essas coisas que acontecem, existe uma opinião pública que é formada através da mídia que incentiva que esses casos, eles são casos isolados e não são o geral de lá. E eu já vou responder o que ele perguntou sobre a organização.
O caso geral a respeito das pessoas mortas ou a respeito de união da comunidade?
Das pessoas mortas e dos problemas gerais que afetam a comunidade.
So, as far as based on just kind of, it's a public opinion forum, and so it's based on those isolated cases of what happened with those people that have been victimized, just to generate debate and get community involvement in response.
How many people you have from her? Are they on council? Members of the government?
Quantas pessoas são? Elas são membros do governo ou elas são membros do cônsul?
Quantas pessoas são o quê?
How many people that are on that do what?
I'm saying in terms of elected officials.
Quantas pessoas em termos de oficiais eleitos? No governo, quantas pessoas são pessoas votadas para o governo, que estão envolvidos no governo?
São muitas pessoas, mas no Brasil é dividido entre o poder legislativo, executivo e judiciário. O judiciário não é eleito, é quem cuida das leis. Claro,
so it's three different branches: the legislative, executive, and judicial. Thank you. And so the judicial ones, they're not the ones that make the laws and take care of the laws.
O executivo são o presidente e os prefeitos. Cada cidade tem seu prefeito e o país tem um presidente.
And what is the executive branch is the ones that enforce the laws and policies, because all of the governors and the mayors of the different cities and states that work together in the executive branch.
E o legislativo são os deputados, que cada estado tem, acredito que são 57 deputados federais, e cada estado tem o número de deputados de acordo com o número de habitantes. São muitos, eu não saberia dizer quantos.
And also, it is also the legislative, which every city has the deputies, and so pretty much I don't really know how many to say exactly, but the amount of deputies that they have are in conjunction with the amount of people that are in that district.
Let me ask this question. Here in Chicago, there was an individual who was shot 16 times by the police. His name was Laquan McDonald. I can show you what has happened in terms of his death, what the community has been doing to change in terms of getting the policemen fired, trying to get the mayor out of office, in terms of the protest. Would you like to see that?
Tem menino que foi morto em Chicago, ele foi atirado 16 vezes. A partir daí eu posso ensinar envolvimento comunitário para fazer com que a polícia que ele matou seja despedido e para tirar o prefeito da oficina. Vocês queriam assistir?
Diga ele que no Brasil existem várias... Toda vez que um jovem é morto, existem várias formas de reação a isso. Existem movimentos sociais que trabalham nisso, o movimento negro que trabalha em envolver suas comunidades quando morrem jovens há décadas. E o que a gente quer não é demissão do policial, isso também acontece. A gente quer outra política de segurança pública.
So we have like similar things that happen like that, and it's been happening for a while. So what we're not trying to do, we're not trying to impeach any government official. We're just trying to get public security policies changed and implemented in different ways.
Você disse que tem pessoas que trabalham nisso já há muitas décadas no Brasil?
Yeah, they have people been working for this many decades in the same movement in Brazil. It's just that we're not trying to take anyone out of office. All we're trying to do is
Hold up. All right, sir. We're gonna let them know. How long you gonna be here?
You know Clyde gonna show up with me.
Go ahead, Mr. Beasley. I had him downstairs. Okay.
Hello.
Excuse me.
Can we come around and let me welcome everybody here. First of all, I kind of got mixed up. I went down to pick the ladies up, and they're already here. So I'm happy that you're here. And what we usually do, the food is getting nearing done. But we've got some very interesting people here, and we wanted to maybe go around the room and say a few things. These ladies are from Brazil, from Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. And I think all of you probably know that the state of Bahia and the city of Salvador both are 80% African. And you can see that we're the same. We came in the same boat, but some of us have dropped off at different points. You know, and it just so happened that the Portuguese, so they don't speak English. Then you come on up a little bit further, you know.
But they write English.
You get to like Colombia, where we have 26% of that country is African. And they're speaking Spanish, of course. And we come on up to Haiti or whatever, and they're speaking French. But we're all the same people, and our struggle is the same. And something that's not unique is that wherever African people are in the world today, for the most part, they're on the margins, which is very bad. And there's a billion Africans, just went over a billion mark last year. There's a billion people on the continent of Africa, and they are tremendously marginalized. And then there's 30 million Africans living in Europe. They're, for the most part, marginalized. And those of us here in the U.S., I think, have the best opportunity to really trying to help to get this thing straight. The exploitation has to end. And I think if with just the amount of people here in the room would be on one accord, we know enough people and stuff, that we really could make it in. We could change it. I'm just totally convinced of it. Now, we've got some people here that's from the Congo, the DRC, and just take the DRC alone, that one country alone has more wealth than the United States and all of Europe combined. But it's being stolen. And so we have to, you know, I think this is our time. They're running all over Europe, right? The immigrants, right? They got the world in a mess, right? Quite frankly. And I think it's up to us, Brother Eaton, to be about trying to do something to straighten it out. Now, if you have to go to the restroom, there's one there. There's also one down the other way. If you go to this one here, when you have to pull the handles back up, otherwise the water just keeps running. I got to get that fixed.
You can do an introduction.
Let me.
Joe, you fixing the world already.
Let me. Young lady, want to save them for last, or you want to? What do you think? They want to see who's here and then they speak last.
Vocês querem que todo mundo se apresente e você se apresenta ultimamente, depois de todo mundo? Yeah, we do.
Okay. All right. Now there's drinks. Everybody
I like that excitement. Okay.
Let's go with it.
All right. I'm Tasha Ford. I am one of the crew here at WRFG Radio. I'm a producer and also on the underwriting team. And I'm outside of WRFG. I work at People TV as well as a producer, and I'm an independent marketing consultant.
Greetings, y'all. My name is Kwame. I hail from Guyana in South America. And I am part of the WRFG family. I'm with Beyond Borders, the people of the Caribbean, Latin America today. And I also work with Friends of the Congo. Good to be here.
Hi, I'm Maynard Eaton. I'm a journalist. I write for anybody I can. I've been in Atlanta 30 years or so, and I'm on the board of People TV. It's so nice to meet this lady, and I love Joe Beasley. He's probably, I call him the world's activist. You know.
I love Maynard. Maynard is a great man, doing some great things. An award-winning journalist. The lady's already met him because we went to his office on Monday.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jalen Furby. I'm the owner of American Kinetics LLC. I'm a journalist, I'm a publicist, and I am an exercise physiologist by trade. So American Kinetics, we provide brand management, marketing support for several different industries, from hip hop to politicians, sports and entertainment. And in fact, I'm going to apologize in advance because I will be leaving soon to cover the Hawks game tonight. So it's nice meeting everybody. So I won't be staying until the end. So I just want to put that out there so we can connect before I leave.
Colby's last night?
Yeah, it's Colby's last night. So I know there's some beautiful people here. I love y'all dearly, but I'm going to be at the game.
I speak French only. Donc je m'appelle Norine. Je suis l'épouse de Mr. José.
You translate.
Okay.
Be an interpret?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay.
Je suis Madame Norine Kelani.
I am Norine Kelani.
Je suis l'épouse de Monsieur Joseph Diangenda.
I am the wife of Mr. Joseph Diangenda.
Que voici. Je suis originaire de la RDC.
I am from DRC, the Congo.
Oui.
Democratic.
Oui, j'ai vécu 5 ans à Montréal
I have been living in Montreal in Canada for 5 years.
et je viens d'arriver à Atlanta juste la semaine passée.
I just arrived in Atlanta just a week.
Et voilà, je suis ravie d'être ici avec vous.
And I'm happy to be here with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rose Dekani, and people call me Mama Rose. And I'm from Congo, DRC also, and I'm Cubanist. And also, this is my first time being here with you all, but I already met Papa Joe, Papa Freeman, and Papa Dion. We were together in Kamba and in Kinshasa. And I'm very happy to be here and see what's going on, and very, very thoughtful to be here and to think about and talk about what we're trying to do. I'm very excited and to meet all you beautiful people with good ideas. I hope God will help us see us through to what we started and to the end. And I thank you.
Do I need to introduce me?
Okay, hold it, Mr. B, let me, come on.
I changed
Since
the
you're here?
position, right?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Nzekani. As you already see, my wife introduced me. I live in Atlanta about 15 years now, and I work for my church. The Kimbang is a church here. We try to preach. And we just recently came from Congo. The trip we took with Mr. Joe, Dr. Freeman, and Dion in Congo to visit the church in Nkamba. And I'm happy to be here. I'm already part of the family, probably part of the crew. So I've been to Mr. Joe's house since May, and I've been here all the time. Every time he have something, I'm around. So probably some of the people know me already. So I'm happy to be here and happy to meet all of you and to, we are happy, as Mr. Joe said, we can change the world. This is our time. I believe it. And thank you.
CC?
I'm Cece Anderson. I'm a women's and children's advocate. I have a nonprofit, Women Changing the World, one woman, one child at a time. I am a friend of Joe Beasley. I've been calling and aggravating him. I missed 2 flights going to Haiti and then trying to get to Brazil. I'm a research scientist and healthcare advocate. I am so pleased to be in the midst of you guys tonight, and I'm so happy to meet each and every one of you. I just want to shout out to Joe, who is our main ambassador and freedom fighter. We both, with People's Agenda, Rainbow Push, all the ABC groups, and I'm trying to tag along now.
At the Brazilian embassy all day trying to get a visa. She'll be coming to Brazil soon.
Freeman?
Yeah, I'm Richard. Some folks know me as Dick Freeman. Black women in particular prefer Richard, and I don't have a problem with it. My mama did name me, though, both them names, so I don't shy away from either. By training, I guess I'm an attorney. Spent a lot of years as a civil rights attorney. 15 years ago, I decided I'd get involved in education because I really do think that is the key to making substantial changes in how people can live. And met Joe shortly after I started my own university, and I think we friends. At least we run around the world together, and it's been a pleasure. Not only a pleasure, it's a real reward trying to do the things that we try to do. So glad to be here in your presence, and hope we can enlist all of you in one way or another in the continuing struggle. Thank you.
My name is Heather Gray, and I also love Joe Beasley. I can't remember when we first met Joe years ago, but so I was mentioning tonight that there was, some of you all might know Reverend Timothy McDonald here in Atlanta. So he said, Heather, how are you, or what are you up to? And I said, well, I'm raising hell. He said, no, 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 no. You're raising a little heaven. And I thought, okay, so that makes sense. But I used to work for Mrs. King. I directed the nonviolent program here in Atlanta in the 1980s for a while. But most of my career has been working with black farmers, with the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. Our work is here in the Southeast, as well as in Jamaica and parts of Africa as well, particularly West Africa. And the Federation is involved in helping to save black-owned land, but also in cooperative economic development. Apart from that, I'm a writer, I'm a journalist.
One good one.
So I write, and I've been fortunate. People are talking about where they're from. I've held 3 citizenships. I'm originally Canadian, I've been American, I'm also Australian. So all these European colonies, right? White settler colonies, where I've learned firsthand about European oppression, of course. So, but that's who I am. Thanks.
She's a black woman in white face.
Hello, my name is Stephan Ferguson. I met Mr. Joe Beasley at Concerned Black Clergy about 4 years ago, and I had just moved from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I worked as a news reporter, and I worked in broadcasting for about 15 years. And now I'm a motivational speaker. I speak as Martin Luther King Jr. I do his reenactments, I do speeches and sermons by Dr. King. I work at the National Park Service here in Atlanta at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where I give presentations, and I travel giving and educating people on the life of Dr. King and who he was and his philosophies.
He can really do. Let's go. Good evening. My name is David Branch. I'm currently a community organizer, and I work in healthcare outreach, and I work at the School of Medicine. And what I do on a day-to-day is educate parents and families on the importance of healthcare. And just recently we got a new grant, so I'm an Atlanta regional navigator. So I teach people about affordable cares, aka Obamacare, and I help people get enrolled. So I'm also a good friend of Mr. Beasley. I look at him as a mentor, and he's been someone that's been real instrumental in helping me go from being a young person with ideas and a desire to help to actually someone with boots on the ground doing service work. So I look forward to meeting everyone tonight as well.
And that's the Morehouse School of Medicine.
Morehouse School of Medicine, yes, that's correct.
I'm a student of one of the great men in this room. There's several, but I'm a student of Joe Beasley. I've been working with Mr. Beasley for many years, for it's over 6 years, 7 years. My name is Latron Price. One day, Mr. Beasley called me up and said, we're going to the Vatican. I tell this story all the time, but I want to make sure everybody hear this story that get an opportunity to. He calls me up and say, Latron, we're going to the Vatican to go see the Pope of Rome. And I gave the same kind of response, like, okay. And he says to me, I said, Mr. Beasley, what we're going to say to the Vatican? What would we say to the Pope of Rome? And Mr. Beasley shared with me that we're going to tell the Pope to his face that the land Christopher Columbus claimed in Hispaniola was not his to give, in that he's telling the Pope to give the land back to the people that are living on that land and open the Vatican Bank to put homes there. And I was like, absolutely. And so a week later, we're on a flight headed to Rome, Italy, being hosted by the Rispoli family, who was one of the founding families of Italy. The host was Giada Rispoli, and she hosted us in her home at the request of Mr. Beasley, our great leader. And the house was built in the 800s, so it was a castle, it was a palace. that had its own Italian garden out back, which is like a big maze of bushes, and with a drawbridge and all these wonderful things. And the first night we were there, they brought the Vatican scholars along with the leadership of the Vatican. And in that experience, we received one of the greatest admissions of the 21st century. And that admission was Italy influenced the world through the flow of knowledge. They say Italy, we say the Vatican. They say influence, we say control. Through the flow of knowledge. And the one thing that has threatened that is the internet. And so they wanted to have a dialogue with us about particular black people and African Americans in our use of the internet and connecting with people from around the world. And to me that was, and not just to me, but as we all hear this, and some of you are hearing it for the very first time, that is the greatest admission of global supremacy in the world, and that I know of the 21st century. And the person that gave that admission was the second in command of the Vatican at the time. And so the Pope is here, he doesn't do any speaking. The guy next to him that really run the operation, he did the talking. So it came from direct leadership at that experience. After having that experience, actually slightly before that experience, Mr. Beasley began to share all his great works with us. The experience of going to South Africa and meeting with Nelson Mandela, bringing him to Atlanta, Georgia, raising his presidential fundraiser campaign, and then returning back with Nelson Mandela, he and others, many others, to organize the voter registration drive on the ground, going to the villages, going out, organizing a vote, and seeing that global vision during the time of Nelson Mandela. And once he did that, and he and others, obviously the ANC became this global experience and a revolution and liberation, and Nelson Mandela became this great man of the 80s and of African development and leadership. And Mr. Beasley saw that not only in South Africa, but also in Brazil, also in Colombia, Haiti, and many other places around the world. And after learning those things, we decided in the conversation with Mr. Beasley that we would start the Joe Beasley Foundation. And so out of those conversations, we began to develop the Joe Beasley Foundation. And since then, Mr. Beasley, along with a network of global leaders and different people in different parts of the world, have begun to put momentum around this work continuing. And one of the unique spaces that Mr. Beasley has led is the connection with the United Nations. And I've been fortunate to work with him on that, where we can address the member states during the General Assembly for particular global issues. So, and I think organizing these journalists and all these wonderful writers as we tell this story, the world don't know these stories. And so my name is Latron Price. I work with Mr. Beasley. I head the foundation, Joe Beasley Foundation, but I really don't. I'm really a student of Mr. Beasley. And I really kind of follow his leadership. And I would like to encourage all you wonderful writers in the room and you great journalists to begin to write some of these stories, because you don't hear about these works that Mr. Beasley is doing around the world. And even if you're writing them in just a blog, or if it's not going into a publication, but to begin to document some of this amazing work that he's doing. My major in college was mass comm TV radio. So when I got out of school, I wanted to be a journalist. I thought that's what my mission was at. But I realized my mission is a part of that. But my real mission is telling the story of my community and being involved and active in my community. And that to me is the journalism that I love. You know, when I came out of school, I went to work at a radio station for a real brief period of New York. There was opportunities to go to other organizations, but that's not where the Creator led me. And so, and I realized I embraced my experience, particularly in speaking to people and that journalism talents that are there in the way of sharing these types of stories, particularly with working with Joe Beasley. So again, I'm Latron, and I'm going to introduce her because I know she's going to be real brief. This is my beautiful, beautiful wife, and she's also a community leader, and also a medical doctor, a primary care physician that is not really into the traditional medical sense. She wants to heal us, not treat us. And so worked extensively in the community. Could have took big jobs, paying big money in other areas, but decided that she want to serve poor people, not just poor people, but our people, black people particularly. So this is Dr. Day as well.
Great position.
Greetings and good evening, everyone. Just really grateful to be here in the presence of such awesome people, and grateful for Mr. Beasley. I would say that my first is I am a servant of the Creator, and really striving to be the best servant of the Creator of all the universes. But also in that I am a mother and a wife. And so as one of my passions, and I'm learning, I'm trained as a medical doctor, and also trained in public health from Morehouse School of Medicine. And that's my training, but the passion, I'm learning and growing into the passion. But a big part of that is our people, and understanding that there is a major leadership in the transformation of the world that we have a responsibility for. And the world really depends on us. It depends on us for freedom, justice, and equality for everyone. One of the recent things that I've learned is we've been just going through different challenges in our own life. And, you know, I was thinking about people who just don't have food, clothing, and shelter. And that's a basic need and a basic right. But it has become a privilege around the world, and it's something as basic as that, but it's not right. It doesn't make any sense, and so definitely appreciate the works of Mr. Beasley, whom I have come to know and very much love through my husband, Latron Price, who is one of my leaders, just as Mr. Beasley, an awesome global leader. And understanding that even though, you know, I've had a traditional training, it is one of the best things is to serve my Creator, to be able to serve my husband, and to be the best mother to my children as possible, because this is the next generation. And so they are here to follow in the footsteps of Mr. Beasley and many of you who have come together in this work. And so I'm very, very grateful, and grateful for each of you being here. And thank you for having us, Mr. Beasley. And thank you for that beautiful introduction, baby.
All right, you can slide down.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Dr. Ramona Tasco. I'm from California, by way of Louisiana. And I have been invited here tonight by Mr. Beasley to meet all of you, and moreover to even meet him. So this is my first time seeing this man, but I did a little Joe, and they say Mr. Beasley, they say Joe Beasley. I said, who is this guy? And I'm finding YouTube, and so I feel like I already know you, Joe, Papa Joe, Mr. Joe Beasley, my brother.
King Joe.
King Joe, I accept. We came to know of one another through the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where I have worked since November of 2000. And I was drawn there by an invitation from a church that exceeds 17 million worldwide. And I had been working in Haiti, I had been working in Nairobi, Kenya, following the American Embassy bombing. And I was coming up on maybe my 18th trip to Kenya when I got a call from the DRC asking me if I would consider going to Congo. And I very busy, I said, well, of course, why not? Yeah, sure. And they kept calling until they irritated me because I was busy doing Kenya. And ultimately, I settled down in a conversation with someone who said that they really needed me to come. It was November 16th. Could I come next week? I'm feeling a little disgusted and impatient. And in the course of a 10-minute conversation, I went from being polite to being rude. And I have to be honest about this because out of my experience in that phone conversation came the blessing of an experience that requires several volumes of books to share. But Mr. Beasley had an opportunity to see some aspect of it a few weeks ago when he and his team went. Suffice it to say, my trip to Congo was a revelation that in deepest, darkest Africa, the so-called cradle of civilization, Congo, where it's arguably the heart of the cradle of civilization, there is a community of Kimbangist believers, a church community that was founded by a man named Simon Kimbangu. And this Simon Kimbangu character, if you'll allow me for the sake of this, foretold that Jesus Christ had come to him and had told him that it was time for him to go and preach the truth. Tell the truth. Reveal the lies and the deception that have been plaguing black men and women around the world, and that you are the best, you are loved, and that you are the head, not the tail, you are in the front, not in the back. And Simon Kimbangu said, well, yeah, I'm just a catechist. Why me? But from that experience, he ultimately threw in the towel, as so many of us do when we get that call. And we're convinced that the Lord has inspired us to do something great. And Simon Kimbangu did an enormous number of things in the DRC that are of historic significance to our brothers and sisters throughout Africa, but certainly in Central Africa, in Old Congo Kingdom, which would include the Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola. Kimbangists are situated in Canada, Europe, Portugal, Spain, France, China, Australia, United States of America, South America, throughout the world, and African Americans know nothing about it. And they have been praying since 1921 for the realization of the prophecy that African Americans would begin to come home, and that in so doing, the prophecies of reversal would be realized. So in 2000, when I was asked to come in the beginning of the next millennium, it was to mark the occasion of the fulfillment of the prophecies of reversal. Well, I confess I was ashamed because I mocked the notion that anything good could come out of deepest, darkest Africa. Because after all, I had seen that National Geographic cover with the naked black woman in the jungle in 1954. And I was ashamed of it. And so nothing good could come out of Congo in my mind. And I pleaded for every excuse I could put before them that they not call on me to go to Congo. at least not right now. And I said, do they speak English? They said, no, Mama, they speak Lingala Congo. I said, do they have any five-star hotels in Congo? Yes, Mama, there are one or two, but we would want you to stay with us on our compound. I said, well, you know, I have to have bottled water because my stomach is very delicate. Well, Mama, we drink bottled water too. I said, but you know, I said the food, and they said, but Mama, the food that grows from our land is the purest, it's the cleanest, it's the healthiest, it's the best for you, and you will not get sick. I tried everything I could. And then I said, so, how big is this church? They said, oh, Mama, we believe we are 29 million worldwide. But the World Council of Churches wants us to believe that we are just 17 million. I said, are you all going to send me a ticket? And they said, no, Mama, you will have to pay. It was all I could do not to be any ruder than I was. So I summarized it for all of these people, and they said, okay, you want me to go to Congo, deepest, darkest Africa, you want me to stay in a compound, you want me to drink the water, eat the food, and you want me to pay my own way, all in the name of some all in the name of some I could not get the word prophecy out of my mouth, literally. Now I'm articulate. Maybe not that well tonight, I've been up all night. But I could not finish the sentence, I'm a recovering Catholic. And so, when I couldn't get the word prophecy off my tongue, I immediately accepted that this was the divine, punishing me, biting my tongue, twisting my tongue, keeping me from saying something that I would regret. So in that moment, I did my mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I will come, I will come, I will come, I will come. They couldn't believe me. I went and I backed into a blessing. When I arrived in Congo 9 days later, there were 15,000 people lining the streets, dressed in green and white, celebrating the arrival of this African-American woman and her delegation. They put me in a van, and there was a band marching up and down the streets of Kinshasa, playing the fanfare of celebration. We drove about 20 miles, got to the Centre de Caire, where when the doors opened, the gates opened, there were another 10,000 people inside the Centre de Caire, and they were celebrating the arrival, the fulfillment of a prophecy. I share this with you because it is a testimony that I have to leave with you, and you must decide how you want to receive it and act upon it, if at all. But because of that experience, I ended up learning that our brothers and sisters in Africa, in deepest, darkest Africa, the least miscegenated population of black people in the world, the ones who are authentically, indigenously black and proud, and confident and convicted, decided that they were not going to be at peace until their brothers and sisters knew that they have been waiting for us. They've been building homes for us. They will live in a hut, but they will build a house, 3 bedrooms, baths, for us, because they believe with absolute conviction that when we come, the migration pattern will grow and grow and grow. Prosperity will come to the continent, and African Americans globally will be restored. I heard from them for the first time the first night I was there. This is our time. Doris, it is this body of writing called the Bible, that the prophecies of reversal that say that the black will become white, the white will become black, not literally, but there will be a reversal of fortune, reversal of leadership, reversal of authority and confidence. There will be a turnaround, and that will come in this millennium. I went to seminary as a consequence of this experience. I studied for 3 years at the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, California from 2003 to 2006 to find out how is it we did not know about this community? How did we not know that there are our brothers and sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our ancestors waiting for us? Some of you may have witnessed on television 60 Minutes, where they brought a Congolese symphony orchestra, the Kinshasa Symphony. That is the Kimbanga's church. They are the ones who make the instruments from scratch. And they are the ones that not only perform Messiah, Congolese style, but they perform indigenous original music that they do not claim and put authorship to. They say the divine has given it to them. And when you hear it, you are inspired in ways that defy words. I have met Papa Joe Beasley through this experience, and I'm convinced that God, the divine, the Almighty makes no mistakes. There are no coincidences with the Creator. There's reason, there's purpose that I'm here. Not sure what it is, but I'm getting a sense about it as I see who's gathered. Black Lives Matter. Not just in the United States. And African Americans have not taken their place on the global stage. People like Joe, yes, people like me, and there are others. My mentor was Dr. Carlton Goodley, the editor and the publisher of the historic Sun Reporter newspaper. I worked with Carlton for 8 years. He was my godfather. He was the one who told me I should be a doctor, not a lawyer. Okay? He did say, I don't know whether you're going to be a doctor who BS's or a BSing doctor. That was if you knew Carlton. But what he knew was that he had to take his stethoscope out of one treatment room and apply it to a global community that was experiencing injury, sickness, illness, social ills, political ills that were rooted in history and required a voice from people who were courageous enough, visionary enough, determined enough to ensure that while they were at the helm, there would be a change. And that they were not going to take a back seat or be silent, even if they had to do it alone. So Joe, in what I have learned about you, you are one of those people. And my goodness, how wonderful it is to have met you today and to continue to work with you and all those who you have been touched to reach out to. There's significance in it. There are no accidents. You are all here for some particular role, and it will be on you to prayerfully reflect or meditate, however you choose to describe your engagement with the ethereal. What am I supposed to do while I'm up at bat? When it's my turn to swing, when the pitch comes right down the middle, will I? It was a little low, what will I do? When it's my turn, and we are here to say, my generation is your generation. I just looked at it. We're of the same generation, and we refuse to die without continuing the fight.
Can I come around? Okay. Oh, I'm scarred.
When she first went to Congo, and
I said, excuse me.
with our delegation.
Yeah, that's good. They in training.
When they left Congo, they stopped in Nairobi, Kenya, and they had to stay overnight in Nairobi because of plane problem. They went to the Intercontinental Hotel in Nairobi. They were checking in. They had all their bags in the lobby area, and when they got all checked in, the bags were gone. And they just wondered, they noticed the little porter had a name tag said Simon K. And
We couldn't believe that Simon K. could possibly have picked up all those bags. And if he did, where did he put them? How would he have known where to put them? We went to our rooms. We looked in our room. My bags were in my room. Her bags were in her room. His bags were in his room and his bed. There were 4 of us. So we stepped out of the hallway. Did you get your bags? Come on, Betsy, I know I got everything. Did you get your bag? One after another. I said, do you think Simon got it? Simon K. was on his name tag. Little tiny man. So I said, we need to go find him and give him a tip. We went downstairs. We went downstairs. We looked for Simon K. in the lobby. This is the same Simon K. who founded the Kimbongish Church, who he said Jesus Christ spoke to. We went to the lobby, we looked for him. One after another, we don't have any Simon K. here. So I went to the main desk, I said, do you have an employee here by the name of Simon K.? He's about so high, he was wearing a red with the little gold lapel and the, the flat top hat. And they said, no. So we looked at each other, and it was the most convincing first-hand experience with a miraculous phenomena that I cannot shortchange the power of the divine by making it just a coincidence. The hand of God showed up that day, because as sure and as true as my name is Ramona Tasco, with credibility to go behind that name, a little man by the name of Simon K. took every one of our bags up to our respective rooms, disappeared where no one could explain who he was, declared he never existed. But to this day, if you talk to any one of the 4 of us, we have the same story to share. There is something very powerful going on in the world right now. And don't be confused or deceived by Syria. There's something even more powerful going on that's quite positive and profound. And if I'm sounding prophetic, I am only declaring to you truth that we have witnessed. Papa Joe, you met the spiritual leader, the grandson of Simon Kimbongo, yourself. You were moved by something unique. We're not gathered to talk about that tonight, but what we are gathered to do is bind together our experience and have each of you reflect on this season of life that we're experiencing. Some people are scared to death. Don't be scared. Just pray and ask God, what is it for you to do? Because something has been put on your heart. You're not here just to be an observer and a celebrator of Joe Beasley. Joe Beasley and I, we need people who are thinking about concrete deliverables. Is that right, Brother Freeman? We know it's doable. It may not be achieved in our immediate lifetime, but we're here to draw you together and say, it is our time. And whatever you've been reflecting on individually, there is a collective that you can draw from.
We're really so delighted that you're here. I wanted to give recognition to the young man that prepared the dinner for us.